That's it, boy.
So we're back after a week break.
A week break
Yeah.
for your boy.
Yo, bro, did you get that from the dollar store, or where'd you get that from?
Nah, this
Or
costs.
eBay? Did the Chinese people make it for you?
Nah, man, this shit is priceless.
Priceless.
Yeah.
Mm.
So, in case you ain't heard,
We didn't hear.
If you follow me on Instagram, you definitely heard. But I came in third place at the powerlifting meet that I've talked about in literally every single episode.
Oh,
so
shit, I didn't know that. I didn't see that.
You were there.
I wasn't. You sure I was there?
Bro, you drove with me.
I don't recall this.
You gave me top on the way down.
Hey, yo, pause. Hey, well, let's get back in the episode.
I think that's a good note to get out of the episode. If you can troll me, I can troll you right back. All right.
That wasn't a troll.
We're starting this one off a little goofy. I like it. Cool. So, what's going on, everyone? Thanks, as always, for tuning in to another episode of the UnrackedPodcast. We're here to help gym rats of all levels to enhance their fitness and other aspects of their lives through conversation and firsthand experiences. We are your hosts. I'm Mike Gersh.
And I'm Josh Angel.
In our last episode, we talked about a handful of reasons why people stall their gains and end up plateauing, and we gave some advice on how to get back on track and smash through those plateaus. Today, what we want to talk about are some fitness tips and tricks leading up to a vacation, as well as the during and post-vacation, in order to avoid a nasty rebound.
Yeah, we're going to get you ready for prep. We're going to get you down to like 10% body fat so you look good for the beach. So you're going to be writing your story 10 days out, 8 weeks out.
Yeah, so we're not going to make any false promises of getting you to 10% body fat because I don't know where you're starting and I don't know how long you're prepping. For the podcast, I'm putting up air quotes when I say prepping for this vacation.
No matter what, anyone that's going on a vacation is going to want to look like a sick cunt.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you definitely want to step on the beach with... Everybody wants to step on the beach with, like, the six-pack. They want their shoulder striations to look like the harp. They want
glute striations, too, for the ladies.
Hey, yo. For sure. I mean, if you're in classic physique, you also want the glute striations.
Yeah. Well, you're going to be wearing board shorts unless you rock with the Speedo.
So it's all about the lat spread, baby. Shows are one from the back.
Yeah, you want to get that nice hourglass look, right?
Oh, yeah.
So we're going to give you a few fire tips right now.
For sure.
I'm excited.
The first one is, of course, we're going to be talking about pre-vacation what?
I did want to say why we're talking about this because we kind of came back from a vacation. So
okay,
that's why this topic is coming up.
True.
Because mainly I came from a vacation. He was working / prepping for his meet.
Yeah, so what I said to Josh off air before we talked about this, Josh was on a nice little vacation for himself. I was still on prep, doing the same things I was doing here in Los Angeles. I was just doing them down in San Diego until Saturday was the actual meet day. But Saturday night, we got KBBQ and boba, and that was like a little mini vacation, but then I just immediately had to drive back.
Yeah. Well, for me, too bad, like, the weather was pretty poor because, like, I had no need. It was fucking cold. Like, I didn't really want to take my shirt off at the beach, but, like, I was ready to take my shirt off at the beach. Man, it was too cold for that, dude. There was no sun, dude. Just chill. But anyways, that's why we're talking about this. So we're going to get down to what to do pre-vacation first.
Oh, yeah. Because if you want to get to that spot, right, sun's out, guns out, you got to work on the guns first and foremost.
Yeah, you got to prep.
Skies out, thighs out, bro. You can't be walking around with small quads. Come on now.
It's calf season.
That 5-inch bathing suit. Show off a little. You got to recognize your hard work. So, first and foremost, and this is something that more times than not, I would say the vast majority of times, you're going to have a very clear timeline leading up to your actual trip, right? Some people may take a spontaneous trip where it's just like, hey, I want to go somewhere for a weekend, and you decided on like Thursday afternoon. But for the most part, you're going to have a little time leading up to the trip. So what you need to do is set clear, smart goals.
Depending on what they want to achieve.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
but I think majority of the time, I really don't see a reason for anybody to want to like build muscle. Mostly, they're gonna want to get lean, for the most part, right?
I mean, very
Yeah.
overarchingly, yeah. Most people are going to want to shred fat leading up to a trip.
Yeah, or maintain depending on where they're at.
Yeah, so I think in the idea of the SMART goal, A is achievable. So that is something your goal needs to be realistic, right? If you're sitting at 30% body fat and your trip is in 2 months, don't tell me that you want to get sub 10% because I'm gonna laugh in your face.
Yeah, at most part lose like 2%, maybe 4 if they're lucky.
Yeah. So again, people can lose weight very quickly. Some people struggle with it for sure. People can lose weight very quickly, but what they don't realize is if you're in a crazy deficit, you're probably going to be losing more muscle than you're shredding fat because your body is going to hold on to fat for your survival. Your body doesn't need muscle to survive. It just helps with your metabolic rate and things like that.
But also if we're talking about someone that's barely starting and they'd have no muscle, they really don't have to worry about that. They just have to worry about like them eating too little, where they feel like shit throughout the whole day. Like, oh, I have a light headache. I feel like I'm about to pass out. So things like that, they kind of have to worry about instead of they have no muscle to even worry about to lose.
Right. So we're getting very specific with that. So I think the idea we're trying to convey here is know your starting point, right? Like you need to be cognizant of where you're at. Know your timeline. You need to know how much time you have to achieve your goal and make sure your goal is realistic. Because if you set a crazy goal that there's just absolutely no way that you're going to achieve this goal, you're just setting yourself up for failure and disappointment. And then that mindset may carry over into your vacation and you have a shitty time.
Yeah. Should we give like an example? Like, let's say you knew like 4 months ahead and like what you should be doing? Or you think, is that too much?
Well, I mean, that kind of goes into the points we have, right? So the idea is everything we're saying take with a grain of salt because we're going to give you guys tips and tricks of how to maximize the time you have. I don't want to get too specific and say, oh, if you have 4 months, do this. If you only have 3 months, do that. That's going to be, we could talk about that for 3 hours and nobody would listen. We just want to give the general advice of like, here's how to maximize the time that you have leading up to it. See what I'm saying?
Yeah. So then that goes on to our next point then, planning a workout plan, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we've always talked about how important programming is.
Yeah. So I think mainly for this, well, to me, I think you need to work on your weak points. And if you think about yourself like, oh, how do I look without any clothing? Or like, it depends, man or girl. Like, if you're lacking in your legs, you want to show, you're going to be at the beach, you definitely want to focus on your leg workouts and emphasize more on that, right? And then, arms, maybe you have, if you're one of those guys that have like smaller like arms, you tend to have smaller arms, you might want to increase your arm days. And I think that's kind of where it needs to build into your programming. And then, of course, adding cardio to shred off that fat.
I don't think you're going to have to like convince anyone to add a second arm day.
Yeah, that wouldn't be easy.
But I mean, exactly like you're saying, your goals and your programming need to line up, right? So if you want to step onto the beach with abs, we know that obviously abs are mostly made in the kitchen, but you need to also build your core muscles. So if you're dieting correctly, your abs will show. But if you're working out your abs and dieting correctly, your abs are going to fucking pop.
Yeah, exactly.
You're going to have some head turning abs.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the combination of the two. You need everything to line up. And then that's when you're going to get the best results.
Yeah. So you really need to take a look in the mirror naked, but naked, to really know where you need to work at. Maybe you need to work on your lats more, your shoulders more. This really depends, and each person's goals. But I definitely need to program some cardio in there too.
What did you work on the most leading up to San Diego?
Calves, baby. Calves and abs. Everything else was pretty well, shoulders for sure too, and the lats, of course.
So just straight pretty muscles.
Yeah. Exactly.
Bro has zero function.
I wanted to make sure I couldn't get in the doorway.
He has to walk through the door sideways.
Yeah,
You just have the ILS, bro, the imaginary lat syndrome.
Yeah,
I know.
that's how I wanted to walk out.
I know a kid, bro, since sixth grade. Like, I'm not making this up. In sixth grade, he had imaginary lat syndrome. He was one of those guys where his arms never touched his sides.
He had it in his head.
Yeah. He was also like a wicked cocky hockey player who wasn't that good at hockey stuff. I digress.
Mm-hmm.
Along with programming is, of course, going to be nutrition, right? So if you're leading up to a trip, the vast majority of people, like we talked about, are probably going to want to cut weight and cut fat. So this is something leading up to your trip. You need to be super cognizant of the food choices you're making, as well as your overall tracking your macros. High protein is going to be super important. Caloric deficit is going to be super important. And I know you're going to live by this, the low carbs as well.
Yeah. So I would say, depending on how much time you have, I would take it really anal. Like for me, for example, I was being really anal the last like 2 months, month and a half, on my diet. Like I know I could fit in my macros like some ice cream. Like if I count everything, I could still be in a calorie deficit. But I was even cutting off the ice cream because I really knew I was gonna eat shitty, even though I was kind of mostly counting at my vacation. So I was being really anal like the past like month or so of like the sweets because I was like in my head like, oh, I'm just gonna indulge during the vacation.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just like, F it, I'm just gonna be really strict. But I know most people are not gonna be able to do that. But that's for me.
Yeah, and I mean, again, the aggressiveness of your goal is going to determine the level of like strictness you need leading up to the trip. Again, if someone has a loose goal, I want to look good, right? That's not super specific. Good can mean something different to everybody. So that's something you may not take as serious as if you're a more veteran, like seasoned gym rat, where you know, okay, I know my maintenance calories, I know what my current body fat percentage, I want to cut this amount, and you're very in tune with your fitness. That's someone who's probably going to be a little more aggressive with their goals. Like I was telling you, I have one friend who he's actually on a cruise right now, and he looks phenomenal. And he's texting me the whole
You're
time.
Myron, bro?
I'm Myron, dude. I
Oh
mean,
snap!
we can. I'll ask him. We can put the Instagram post up, but it's the kind of thing where I'm sure he was super disciplined leading up to the trip. I know he's very into fitness. I know he's like considered doing bodybuilding shows. Like that's the level of physique he has. So it's the kind of thing like for him, he's going to be super dialed. He was literally treating this vacation like almost like a bodybuilding prep,
Mm-hmm.
where someone on the other side of the spectrum, they may just be making overall healthier choices leading up to the vacation because they don't necessarily need to be absolutely shredded, but they just want that dress to fit a little better. They want that shirt to fit a little better. They want a little less arm fat showing, right? Like not everybody is going to be that super crazy level of like discipline
Yeah.
and strictness.
I think it also depends on your where you're at. Let's say I was like 10% body fat like before like a month or two before the vacation, then all I have to do is just maintain, and I can just enjoy still like the ice cream that I was getting, still fitting in my macros. But also it depends on the duration. Let's say that person's it depends on if you're in a cruise for like a month, like dude, you really need to go hard like the past like few months because you're for sure gonna indulge and like having that long duration of a vacation. Like it's gonna be hard to like count or hard to resist. If you're in a short little vacation like how we were, like 2 or 3 days, yeah, you probably don't have to go as hard, and you might not have time to indulge that long.
Yeah.
And we were also in a house, so I mean, we cooked like one of the days, right?
Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
that's also something that kind of goes into one of our next points. So I'm going to jump a point and just go to number 6. Um, this is something that has just been so ingrained in me that I honestly forgot to even put this on the list. So I'm going to shout out Josh for calling this one out. But
Mm.
always researching the area that you're going to be going to, because you want to make sure, okay, are you staying in a hotel? Is there a nice gym there where you can maybe get a little bit of a workout in? Are you staying in an area where you're close to an actual gym that you can get a day pass in? And then food options as well. Are you staying in an Airbnb that you're able to cook? Or are you in like a metropolitan area where it's like a city where you have a lot of food options, but you want to make sure you make a healthy option, right? So leading up to a trip, what did you do research on?
Pretty much. Well, when I was doing research, I was looking for like good foods to eat. Well, like meant like junk food, like carb food. I was actually eating some carbs. I ate some pancakes when I was there.
Whoa,
Man,
easy, Rod.
it was dank. It was the sugar, man. F that sugar. But anyways, I was just pretty much just looking like what was good to eat. Like breakfast wise, lunch wise. I didn't really look too much like for the healthy stuff because I knew we weren't gonna be there for that long.
Yeah.
But if that was the case, I would have looked for something more healthy. I mean, it's kind of easy to eat healthy too when you're kind of going out. Cause like for me, mostly the basic is like if I really want to eat healthy, like Chipotle and like stuff like that is like really easy. Like you really don't need to think about it. Chipotle, like Panda, stuff.
Panda Express is not healthy, dude. Stop it.
You get the grilled teriyaki chicken, no sauce, and then greens.
Okay, you can make it healthy, but don't make it sound like in general
I
it's
wouldn't even say
healthy.
Then you could say Chipotle is not really that healthy.
No,
You
no, no,
have
no,
too
no.
much rice and beans.
I'm not arguing the meal you get at Panda. I'm just saying the way you said it so casually, you made it sound like, oh, go to Panda Express. It's pretty healthy.
Well, yeah, it
But I
depends where
understand
you're
what you're
eating.
saying. It's like if you order something super specific, yeah, that's different.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
continue. I just wanted to make sure that nobody was like about to MSG the fuck up and be like, this is great for my fucking cholesterol.
Well, anything could be unhealthy too. Like I was saying, like Chipotle can be unhealthy if you get the burrito. If you get the double wrap too, oh, you're gone, dude. That's it. But
Okay, so the point is you can make anything healthy or unhealthy.
yeah, exactly.
Let's move forward.
But then, like Mike was saying, if you go to a, Airbnb, you can just get some groceries somewhere close by, and that's a lot easier too. Or, hotels have like those breakfasts, how they make breakfast in the
Yeah, the
morning. Yeah.
continental breakfast.
I mean, it depends too, because sometimes like they usually have like waffles and like stuff like that. It's of course not gonna be good, but mostly if they have like eggs and potatoes, like that's for sure. Like you're good, even though
Yeah.
those eggs are like mystery eggs.
And that, I mean, that's one of the things too. Like, do your research of the place you're staying. Like, does the breakfast have good reviews? Because I've had some pretty good and some pretty shitty continental breakfast
Yeah.
experiences.
No, I think the worst one I've ever had too, because I had like a work trip a long time ago. Like they say they had breakfast, quote unquote, but it was just like literally cereal and like banana. Like, dude, that was like the worst breakfast. Like it was such a bad way to advertise breakfast too. Like, oh yeah, we have
I mean,
breakfast.
it's technically breakfast. They're
It
not
is just
wrong,
like
but
cereal, banana, maybe an apple. Like not like come on,
yeah,
yeah.
no,
But
that's some garbage.
I did want to say too, like for the gym wise, like it's kind of annoying to search for like the hotel gyms because, well, they don't really show pictures. Like most gyms, they like try to hide it low key.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they take pictures of like
Or like they only do one picture of like one side of the wall. Like
yeah, it's always like a weird like diagonal angle too, so it ends up looking bigger than it actually
yeah,
is. But this is funny because this is something that typically a hotel gym is going to be smaller and your equipment is going to be limited. The dumbbells are probably going to be less, blah blah blah, right? The ironic thing is I went on a work trip to Orlando a few weeks ago, and of course, I work at a pretty big company, so they got a pretty nice hotel. The hotel gym we went to, or the gym at the hotel we went to, was probably the nicest hotel gym I've ever seen. They had dumbbells up to 70s, which I feel like I've never really seen over 50s. They had all this stuff. They had lat pull downs, cables, everything, right? But I couldn't even go there because I was on prep for the powerlifting meet and they didn't have a single barbell. So I still had to rent a car
Mm-hmm.
and find a gym in the area with a day pass and powerlifting equipment. And luckily I found one that had like a comp bench and everything. But I was just like, dude, the one time I stay at a hotel that has a wicked nice gym, I can't even go there because I'm on prep.
Yeah, definitely a hotel is never gonna have a barbell. Like it's gonna, yeah, it's never gonna have that. But I had a time too where I had a nice like hotel, like it pretty much had, like everything. Not like dumbbells up to, yeah, dumbbells. Having dumbbells up to 70 is really rare. Like mostly it's like 50, like you said, maybe 60 that I think I saw.
I wouldn't, no,
Maybe it's
50s tops, bro. I've seen some that are like 30s.
yeah for sure. Yeah, I'm the same 50 for
It's
sure.
like only the little like tree pyramid thing. It goes
Yeah,
up to fucking 25s. And
yeah,
you're like, oh, I
yeah.
guess I'm gonna do some lateral raises.
Yeah, exactly. But there was, as I was saying, like it literally kind of had like one of almost everything. But when I was looking up beforehand, like it didn't show like the pictures of the gym. It showed like I think one side of it, and I think it was just the dumbbells. Like I know for a fact that was like surprise.
Yeah, it's like a
Yeah,
fat girl on a dating app.
damn, you really went there. Shit, yo, hey, yo. But facts though, yo. But I think that definitely the best option too is like, of course, if you have a car, depending on where you're traveling to, like you might it might be hard for you to go somewhere like if the gym's kind of far. So of course, definitely go to a regular gym if you can. If not, if you gotta do a small workout at the hotel.
Yeah, and it also depends on the external factors of the trip. Do you have a rental car? How close are you? Is it a work trip? Can you expense an Uber? Things like that all need to be taken into consideration. So
But it's
those are all things you would play by ear.
definitely possible though. Like if you have transportation, it's gonna be easy to get to. Well, maybe depending on like how time restricted you are. Like you maybe want to see some other sites and stuff like that. But you could definitely make it work.
Yeah, I mean, again, for me, I went on a work trip. So I was out of pocket from 8 o'clock, probably 7:30 to like 5 p.m. every day, and then there was events after. I went to the gym every morning still because I had a rental car. I was able to get there right when they opened at 5. My biggest thing, and this is something that people don't think about it leading up to the trip as much. People only really think about it because they feel it more when they're on the trip. But you want to almost like front load your hydration, right? So this is something that we've talked about how important hydration is. Ode to Josh taking a sip of water right now. um, your body when you actually, if you're flying or if you're in the car for a long time, um, this is probably an amount of time where you're not going to be getting the same level of hydration. So naturally, your body is going to dehydrate, especially if you fly. I get super dehydrated
Dude,
when
they
I fly.
finesse you with the water too, bro.
Yeah.
Especially how depending how long your flight is, or like how long it takes you to fly up. Because I remember one time I had like a delay, and I was sitting in the we were like in the airplane for like an hour, just waiting to take off, and they weren't handing out any water, so we took off. So we were like an hour in.
And it's always the tiny little water bottles
Yeah,
too. Like I can take that thing in one gulp, dude.
yeah, exactly. So it's like even if you had a bigger water, like dude, waiting like a whole hour, and you're imagine you're thirsty beforehand, like the pre-checked and all that stuff. Before the plane trip, and then you're waiting there. It's probably like 2 hours, 3 hours by then, and you're like, dude, you're thirsty, man.
No, yeah, I learned my lesson.
Yeah,
I started packing a water bottle with me.
yeah, definitely. Everybody's got to do that for sure.
100%. But again, you want to front load your hydration leading up to the trip, um, which kind of goes hand in hand with the last pre vacation point, unless there's anything else you want to add, is managing stress. So, as we know, external stress has a direct impact on health, wellness, overall fitness, performance, etc., right? So this is something that people will drive themselves crazy leading up to a trip. I know
Crazy.
personally this isn't going to surprise anybody knowing how type A OCD I am. I'm a chronic overpacker. I stress myself out when I'm packing because I have to make a super long list of everything I need, and I'm going to be gone for like 2 days.
Mhm.
But it's the kind of thing leading up to the trip. You want to manage your stress like you normally would, but we know that now that you have more of a finite goal, right? You have an actual timeline as opposed to like just a general health and wellness chaser. It's like I want to be healthy forever, right? It's the same idea as a bodybuilding show. You need to look your best on this specific date. So that's the kind of thing where a lot of people are going to stress themselves out. They're going to try way too hard to control every single variable leading up to the trip. And then they're just not going to have a good time. Like their goal is probably going to be unrealistic and they're going to end up disappointed.
Yeah. Well, I do want to add one last point. Well, kind of related to what you were saying. Definitely make a list. And I was definitely an overpacker on our vacation. Like I definitely did not use like half the stuff I brought. But some of the stuff I like, okay, for example, like I brought pants, but I didn't think I was gonna need the pants, but I did wear them the last day we were there because it was actually kind of chilly.
Oh.
So you definitely want to overpack, but I feel like the only problem with overpacking, if you go somewhere kind of like foreign, like really foreign, like let's say we were going to Japan, for example, dude, I would want to bring a bunch of snacks back and like food and stuff like that. Like souvenirs, you go to like a place like that where they have like so much different types of food, souvenirs,
Yeah.
stuff like that.
You almost
Like,
underpack on purpose knowing you're going to buy a bunch of shit and bring it back.
yeah, or you have to get a second check back for sure. So like things like that, you're gonna be like, man, you definitely want to make a list for one, and then afterwards, depending on where you want to go, you might really want to check everything. Like, are you sure you're gonna need this? Does maybe where you're going have a laundromat so you can just wash the same stuff over, and yeah, but I think that's it for pre-vacation for
Yeah.
me. On
So just make sure you're preparing yourself mentally, emotionally, and physically to be on a trip, right? Because when you do actually get on the trip, this is when, if you've done everything leading up to the trip that you're supposed to do, this is when you're going to look your best, right? You're going to feel your best on this trip. The purpose of a trip, more times than not, yeah, work trips happen, stuff like that. If you're going on a vacation, like the point is to relax. Like you should be chill as fuck. Like
chill as
so
fuck, bro.
this is the kind of thing where you may go on vacation and not even work out at all, right? You just worked so hard leading up to this, and now you're here. You're just there to enjoy yourself. But I know Josh and myself are more included in this side of the population. I lose my fucking mind if I don't work out.
Yeah,
I'm at
exactly.
that point of it. So for me,
It's a part of life, like eating.
yeah, so that's something that you most definitely can plan for when you're actually on the trip, right? So depending on what kind of trip you go on, if you go to like a city, right, you're probably going to do a lot of walking. So that's something that you need to take that into consideration that hey, I'm probably going to burn a lot of calories. So mentally, that's something that nutritionally, when you're actually on the trip, you have to take into consideration. And that's something that a lot of people end up overindulging because of that. Because they just spent the whole day exploring a city. They walked around, they burned a shit ton of calories. They
Mhm.
probably either didn't eat that much or they ate a lot, and then they get to dinner and they're starving and they're like, "Oh, well, I walked around, I've worked so hard," and then that's when they end up overeating on this trip because they're like, "Yeah, I'll get the dessert."
I feel like it will still happen even if they didn't walk. Let's say they were actually driving around or something like that, or they were in a different spot. I feel like no matter what, people are gonna indulge,
Yeah, I mean
right?
that's
At
just
least,
gonna make the reaction worse.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I did want to add like like depending on each person go, and I just kind of thought about this too right now. Like, if you could work out even an hour, like that's good enough too. But I was also thinking like beforehand, going into your vacation. Let's say you're only on vacation for like 1 week, you could go super hard the last week and take your vacation week as a deload week, right? So then you can maybe work out even less, like 40 minutes, 30 minutes, or not at all, depending on how hard you went the last week. Like you hit everything RPE 10 pretty much.
I mean, don't
And
go
your body
RPE 10, but We don't recommend RPE
RPT,
10.
RPE flex
Disclaimer.
8, dude.
Disclaimer.
So,
Um,
but yeah, I just thought about that. You can program it into your program and then have your vacation week as a deload week.
exactly. So be strategic about your programming, and it's the kind of thing where you may not necessarily even need a gym, right? So if you have a hotel gym or a gym nearby, that's phenomenal. But when you're on vacation, if again you're treating it as a deload week or you're intentionally working out just to get the blood flowing, right? Like I know me personally, I went on a trip that I had no intention of working out, and my digestion was thrown off. My internal schedule for everything, bro. When I tell you I was backed up, dude, because my digestion just wasn't moving as much as when I was active. So it was the
You
kind
didn't
of
have the
thing.
pre-workout shits.
No, I didn't have any pre-workout shits. So it was the kind of thing, bro, where I literally had to like eat like Greek yogurt for like the probiotic, and I did a bunch of like body weight exercises.
Mm-hmm.
It was the kind of I literally would just get to the point of getting a pump, and I would just feel my blood flowing more. I would feel everything moving around better inside, and it alleviated my problem. But it's the kind of thing where if I was just sitting on my ass the whole time, then I probably would have been backed up the whole time.
Well, that's another thing. Depending on where you're traveling, I don't know where you traveled, but maybe the time. For anybody else, like a time difference can mess up their eating schedule too.
Yeah, I went to Texas, so it was
Okay, not 2 hours difference.
2 hours. Yeah,
I mean, like 2 hours, like even something is gonna make a difference.
well, yeah, your body is adapted to a certain wake up at a certain time, eat at a certain time, work out at a certain time, right? So like even for us, like we work out in the morning, I'm going to have to start working out nights randomly as they come up. I worked out last Wednesday night and it was fucking weird, bro. Like I felt so weird all day. Like I had like my like ADHD energy, and by the time I got to the gym at night, I was just like
chilling.
bro, no, dude. I was just like not in it mentally, as if I like it went first thing in the morning, where I'm like, this is where I'm gonna get my energy out.
Mm-hmm.
So your body is like used to that like scheduling.
Yeah, and then time difference, plane trip, all that stuff added, like it's gonna mess up your whole schedule. Pretty much.
For sure. So just plan for that, right? Like that's something that it's inevitable, right? It's necessary to be able to go on it. If you travel anywhere, you're going to either be in the car for a long time or on a flight for a decent amount of time. So you need to make sure that you're making up for that travel time by eating sufficient calories, and most likely you're going to have to be like somewhat active to burn off just sitting there for whatever amount of time, which
Well, you did bring up a good point though about like the walking. If someone, even if they eat a big breakfast, at least they're kind of like walking around the city. Yeah, you really shouldn't be like, oh, I did so much today, even though it's just walking. But it does kind of help, depending on how much steps they get. Like if they can get a tracker, like if they actually walk 20,000 steps, like that's a lot.
yeah.
Like that's actually a good amount where you can be like, okay, you're not gonna get too fat off of how long your duration of your vacation is.
No, yeah, exactly. If you're gonna
10,000 steps is even good too.
If you're gonna use anything like that as a metric or like a justification of indulgence, like you better be tracking it, in my opinion.
You mean your
Like,
steps or you mean your food?
both.
Okay, yeah,
I'm saying like if you're gonna be the kind of person who's gonna say, we walked a lot today, so I'm gonna order the chocolate cake at dessert, you better know exactly how many steps you took to be able to justify that.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And I'm not saying everyone has to be like
The master
you.
tracker?
And not everyone has to be like you. We were in San Diego. We went to this like pho place. This dude brought his food scale with him.
I'm different.
And what did you weigh out, the short rib?
Yeah, it was easy, dude. It's just
bro,
ribs, bro.
Weighed out the short rib at the noodle house.
Gotta get that protein in,
on
dude.
vacation, bro.
You gotta get that protein in.
So not everyone is going to be that level of tracking, but my point is, for accountability purposes, it's more mental and discipline than anything. If you're going to justify indulgence, using some metric like, oh, we walked a lot today, you better know exactly how many steps you took. Because if you look at your tracker and it's like, oh, you took 4,000 steps,
Yeah, that's not enough.
bruh,
Yeah.
bruh, you ain't getting that cake.
Yeah. You need to hit 10K for sure. Yeah.
100%, dude.
Yeah. 10K is like the minimum, and then more than that, it's like, oh yeah, you're doing some good work.
The average American should take 10,000 steps per day. They don't, but they
I mean, I'm
should.
not gonna lie, it is kind of hard though to get 10K steps because when I was tracking it, like I had to do like 30 minutes of like cardio about, and my job I actually work. I actually walk a good amount too, and even then I had to like kind of. What I was doing for work wise is I was after I finished my lunch or my breaks, I would just take a walk around, dude.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I didn't say it was easy. I don't
yeah.
do it myself. I work from home. I'm either in my car or sitting at my desk in my bedroom office. So it's like I know for a fact I don't take 10,000 steps a day. I don't need to track it to know that. But I also don't go on vacation and eat like a fat fuck because I told someone that I walked a lot today. That's my point. So
So I think our next point is balance, right? Or did we just say that?
well, yeah, I mean, balance indulgence is like, along with what we just said, um, you're gonna be, I don't want to say tempted because I don't think temptation is the right word when you're putting yourself in the situation of being tempted. So I don't really know what the word I'm trying to say is. But when you're on vacation, you're in a more relaxed environment. So you're more likely to make the unhealthier decision.
You know what I was just thinking about would be tempting if you were like in Vegas, because I remember like you walk to the hotels and stuff like that, or like the big casinos. Like bro, like if you go to like the where the food's at, or like anywhere where you're walking pathways, like they have a lot of those small like little bakeries and stuff like that. And like, dude, there's like just stuff on the windows. Like it's kind of I would say those are the times that is like, damn, do I get that cookie right there or do I get that brownie?
I'm just
Right?
I'm picturing the cartoons.
Yeah. Or the Fat Tuesdays, they're like almost in every spot too.
Yeah, I'm just picturing the cartoons where they put the pie on the windowsill and like the smell of the pie like goes in the person's nose and they like float over.
Yeah. Yeah.
But even that, bro, like the like buffets in Vegas, bro. Like
Yeah.
I put a dent in some shrimp cocktail, bro.
Yeah, well, at least those buffets, you have to actually like think about like, oh yeah, we were gonna go to a buffet, instead of like what I was saying earlier, like, oh, you're walking maybe to the casino or something, but then you see bakeries on the side, and like you smell the pie coming out the window
Yeah.
type of thing. But yeah, if you go to a buffet, oh, it's game over, bro. It's game over for you.
Oh yeah, my family, we make our money at buffets, bro.
I mean, I know because well, I've been to a few of those, and like, dude, there's like no way you're not gonna try at least a little bit of everything.
Oh yeah, and I
Yeah.
mean, again, depending on
And those have no time limit too, because they're just so big. They don't even worry about it.
yeah, I mean
Yeah.
they want you to stay, so you end up rolling your fat ass over to the casino and losing some money on the blackjack table. But I mean that just goes into balancing your indulgence, right? Like if you know, for example, like, oh, this day we're gonna go to the buffet, maybe plan that out to be a more active day, a lower calorie day leading up to it, right? These are all things that you can control leading up to your trip. For the most part, if you're planning a vacation, you'll have control over the itinerary to a certain point, I understand. But if you know you're going to pig the fuck out at a buffet, just make smarter decisions leading up to it. Don't pig the fuck out all day and then pig the fuck out at the buffet because that's when you're going to have a belly before you go to bed and you're going to look at yourself in the mirror and be like, what the fuck did I do? And you're going to regret it.
Yeah. No, you know what that I just think about too? I kind of did that too on like Friday on our vacation, like our first day on there. You dropped me off to the gym. I worked out for like 2 hours, hit like 30 minutes of the cardio machine too, stairmaster, and then afterwards I was fasted the whole time too, so I was like fasted for like 4 hours. Then I went to go eat some like a big breakfast, pancakes, eggs, toast.
Bro was talking about
Wait,
this breakfast for like 3 days after.
butter on the pancake, syrup. Oh, it was great. But then afterwards, I didn't eat anything else after, and until we ate dinner that night.
Yeah.
So that's how I kind of balanced it out. Because you definitely gonna have like, like the buffet, for example. Like if that's like dinner or lunch, like breakfast, you gotta take it easy for sure. Or dinner, you definitely gotta eat like just a snack if it's lunch, or vice versa. Like one of the three lunch, breakfast, or dinners is gonna take a hit. And you should, because you're eating too much for like lunch or breakfast.
Exactly. So the planning aspect of this is so important. Like we talked about in the pre-vacation planning, know your options going into it, because if you're walking down the street, you don't have a plan, you get hungry, you're gonna go to the closest shitty place that you can find. I'm
Hmm.
sure wherever you are, you're going to be able to find a McDonald's. I have no doubt about that. If you go into your vacation prepared, you have, I'm not saying you have to map out your day by 15-minute intervals and know exactly what you're going to be doing at every single moment of the day. But if you know, hey, generally this day we're going to be in this area doing this, let me look up a good spot to go to lunch in that area. And then you'll know, okay, we did whatever activity and we have a good option lined up. You're more likely to follow through with that option as opposed to not knowing where you're going to end up, and then your fat ass ends up at McDonald's.
I mean, it doesn't take too much work to look up like a maybe 30 minutes before around
Yeah,
your
but
area.
people are lazy as fuck,
But
bro.
I was gonna get to my second point where you can ask a local there and say like, "Hey, what's good around? What's kind of healthy-ish?" Or you can tell them,
Yeah, but
depend.
Americans are fat as fuck, bro. They're gonna be like, I love McDonald's. It's right there.
Yeah, just well, I mean, if you're like in a tourist location, I'm sure they're gonna know that you're gonna want to get like a restaurant ish, and then you can just
Yeah,
tell
you
them,
can ask for a recommendation, but I
yeah.
wouldn't I wouldn't be a tourist in a city I've never been and ask some random person, "Hey, what's a healthy option?" You
What's
have to be very targeted with the person you ask, considering 40% of our country is obese.
I mean, that's not that hard.
I don't think I'm gonna walk up and ask a Karen what the nice salad shop around the corner is.
Well, I feel like you're thinking like we're in the depths of Hollywood, or like we're in Compton. And you're gonna ask like some random person.
No, dude, I don't think we're gonna ask like a
Wait, if
hood
you're
rat. I think where you go, you're just gonna be surrounded by people that don't go to the gym. Is this not your experience most places you
well,
go?
we're not gonna ask for like broccoli and beef, you know.
Yeah, but the way you phrased it, you made it sound like you're gonna walk up to a person on the street and say, "Hey, what are some healthy options around here?"
No, what you can ask like just regular foods, like what's a regular like American place, or like is there a diner nearby?
Okay, but that's
Yeah.
not healthy.
Yeah, it's not as worse as like maybe
So,
asking for like a pizzeria or like a burger spot. Hey, what's the closest In and Out, or what's the closest burger spot
or you
with
can just
fries?
go on Yelp the day before you get there.
That's what I was saying. You can Yelp it too, and then you're like, nah, they don't have that much time. They're lazy.
You made it sound like you're gonna walk up to a random person in a city you've never been and say, "Hey, what's a healthy option for me?"
Well, you can ask whatever, whatever you're like craving that moment.
Yeah, but that's my point is if you're going by what you're craving in that exact moment in time, you're 9 times out of 10 gonna make a unhealthy choice.
But then it sounds like you want to plan everything beforehand. Then, like, oh,
Yes!
oh, lunch.
That was the exact point we made.
No, you were just like saying like, oh, you're out and about, and then, you're planning on going on a trip or something, or, planning on like going in this location or that location, and
Nah,
they're gonna.
run it back. What I said was you're gonna make a much healthier choice because if you go on a vacation that you're planning, you'll have more control over the itinerary, right? You can't control everything, but you'll have more control over the itinerary. So if the day before you go on this trip, you say, on Tuesday, I know we're going to do XYZ activity in XYZ area, you can look up XYZ area and find where you're going to go to lunch that day. Because if you have a plan in place to make a healthy option, you are far more likely to make that healthy option, as opposed to your point. If you just go by what you're craving in that exact moment and you ask a fat ass local, 99 times out of 100, you are not going to make a healthy choice.
But what do you find a fit local?
Okay, well, you didn't say that. If you say a
But
general person,
assume that I meant like a fat local, though.
but if you say a general person, the majority of our country is fat, bro. So I'm going to go by the majority of the people. I'm not going to assume that you just targeted one fucking
Well, it's not
shredded sick cunt on the side of the road and
Well,
you
it's
were
not
like,
the-
hey, what's the most anabolic restaurant in this city?
Well, it's not the majority. It's 40% of obese, so the majority is still 60% that are actually kind of healthy.
Okay, of that 60%, how many do you think are actually healthy, bro?
Well, they're not obese.
Okay, but I didn't say obese. I said fat.
Well, they're not fat. They're obese.
Fat and obese don't mean exactly the same thing.
And they're at least better.
You're going to take this to the grave.
So, plan it out.
So thank you for coming around to my point.
Plan it out. Talk to some people.
So plan it out or get super extremely lucky and find one shredded sick cunt who lives in that city and just happens to know the most anabolic restaurant in the area. But I would recommend planning it out.
You could always ask around too. Or Yelp it.
Yes, if you want to make an unhealthy decision. But if you're listening to this podcast, it sounds like I'm going to assume that you want to be prepared for your vacation and make a healthy decision. So I'm not going to give people advice on how to make unhealthy decisions. They clearly do that enough on their own.
Yeah, but also if they follow these steps that we said beforehand, they probably took the last month or two going hard.
Yeah, and one of the steps was look up food options to not have to ask a local.
Yeah, but they could also just ask to see.
But I'm just saying that's not plan A. You can have that as a plan B. I'm not saying you shouldn't do it. I'm just saying if you want to make a healthy option, the best way to do it is by having a plan in place before you leave.
Yeah, it's good to have a plan, but maybe you don't see things, Yelp related stuff. Because like sometimes locals know what's actually really good, because the Yelp reviews,
Okay. I'm going to say this one last time and we're going to move on. The best way, not the only way, but the best way to make a healthy option, make a healthy choice when you're on vacation is to know the options beforehand so you are aware of what's out there to be able to make a healthy choice. Period.
Sounds good.
The next thing is something we talked about in prep as well, is continued hydration. So like we talked about, you want to make sure you front load your hydration. I don't know if this is just me. I know this happens to other people as well. Anytime I fly, I get super dehydrated. So I actually always bring like those electrolyte packs with me. So when I land, depending on what time I land, that's usually the first thing I do is I fill my water and I drink one of the electrolyte packs.
Yeah, that's smart. I mean, that's the easiest way than taking like vitamins with you. So that's like smaller, easier to take. But that's definitely a good idea. Or you also bring a big jug with you around.
Yeah,
everywhere you go.
Just I mean, again, plan B, you can just get a Gatorade or Powerade or something like an electrolyte drink. I just like the LMNT ones, so I already have them, so I'm not gonna buy something unless I need to.
Yeah, or if someone goes to the store before, they can look for that too.
Exactly. Like when we went to
a small little box too.
Yeah, like when we went to San Diego. Again, granted, we had a car, but the first place we went was Target. So if you go to like somewhere where you're going to have access to a grocery store compared to if you need to get something in the airport, because as we all know, the airport holds you hostage, and therefore you have to pay.
Real question is if they would even sell that too.
I mean, they sell Gatorade.
Oh, I just meant like that little pad.
I'm sure they
Yeah.
sell electrolyte packs too, but what I was saying earlier was if you don't have access to electrolyte packs for whatever reason, Gatorade, Powerade, any of those electrolyte drinks are. I mean, Gatorade came out before like the little powder packets, anyways. So
True.
tried and true, you know.
I feel like every place then would have Gatorade. Now that I think about it, pretty much anywhere you go will have Gatorade then.
Yeah, except that Target in San Diego because I had to get body armor.
Oh yeah, I didn't have it, huh? That was really You know what?
That's so weird, bro.
Yeah, it's definitely possible to a place not having Gatorade, but we could have went down to that 7-Eleven, but
we were just already there, and I didn't.
Yeah.
Feel like going to another place. We had just driven.
And there's like there's a 7-Eleven everywhere too, even outside the country.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I mean, again,
another option.
Just make sure you're like planning for that day, right? Like if you need to supplement anything, like obviously electrolytes we talked about, protein, you may not be able to bring powder, so like get protein bars and things like that. There's a way to like supplement all of that when you're actually on the trip. But again, when you're actually on the trip, like we talked about, if it is a true vacation, you still need to recover, right? So this is something that, like, take Vegas again for an example. Like, if you go to Vegas, like, you're probably not going to sleep that much. So that's something you need to be cognizant of. Like, don't go to Vegas and like sleep for 3 hours and think that you're going to wake up feeling fucking chipper the next day. Like, that just ain't going to happen. Like, you're not going to bounce back like that. Especially like I'm almost, dare I even say it, I'm 30 years old.
You're about to hit your peak though.
Yeah, not my liver's peak, bro.
Yeah, hangovers are really worse when you get older. But I think it just depends if they're. Yeah, I would say the majority of people are gonna go out at night, so they definitely need to at least try to sleep in, and then, if you miss your daytime activities, but sleep is way more important.
Well, again, think about it like.
But you also can't really sleep because like alcohol, REM sleep, all that stuff that we talked about in previous episodes.
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously take all that into consideration, but if you're making the choice to drink, then hopefully you're cognizant of all of that stuff and you're accepting all of that, right? But my point, I guess, is like with all of that, it's gonna like affect your performance anyways in the gym. But if you're on vacation, you've prepped your physique for however long, you go out drinking one night. Same with food, same with overindulgence. Like that one night of drinking or that 1 or 2 days of overeating, like that's not gonna put your physique into the dirt. You know what I mean? Like you're not just gonna be obese all of a sudden because you overate like 1 or 2 days. So it is the kind of thing where make sure that you're resting and recovering properly. So if you go out drinking, sorry, this was long-winded, but I'm coming around to my point right now.
Land the plane.
If you go out drinking and you're kind of thinking to yourself, I want to work out tomorrow morning, my recommendation would be prioritize that extra like hour or two of sleep over that body weight workout or low intensity workout because that's going to be a lot more beneficial in your recovery.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely just want to prioritize sleep first, for sure. And then everything else can come after workouts if you plan on working out, and then, activities.
Yeah, because even if you're on vacation and just because you didn't physically work out, like again, you may be walking around a lot, like you're still doing something that's burning calories and keeping you somewhat active.
Or definitely don't go too hard too with the drinks. That's if you're like 5 shots in or 8 shots in, and then you're
I mean, geez, bro.
yeah, like you're definitely next day's gonna be horrible, man, for you. So.
I'm not anyone's dad, bro. I'm not gonna tell you to not drink on vacation, but I'm just gonna say know the know the side effects or the consequences that are gonna come with it. The point of what I was saying is don't try to force a workout if you're tired and hungover. You're gonna get more out of getting that extra hour or two of sleep than forcing yourself to do a workout, and you're gonna be fucking miserable because you're hungover. You're definitely dehydrated. It's just all around gonna be a bad time.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Um, Anything else while you're actually on vacation?
No, I feel like we talked about everything.
The only other thing I'll say, actually, and this is something would be more on, I guess, like the veteran gym rat. Um, I feel like we have to talk about Alpha Land.
What?
Some people will literally go on vacation just to go to the gym.
Yeah, I
So
mean,
we commend you.
depending on the gyms, yeah, that's true. You know which gyms look really cool too, besides like those like Alpha Land or like the ones are like in Dubai. Those things are
Yeah.
huge, bro.
Or like the jungle gyms.
Oh yeah,
Those look fucking sick.
yeah, the beach gyms, yeah.
Yeah, I love
Because I
that.
know there's well, the only one I really know that I've seen so many people go to or like influencers go to is like the one in Dubai.
Yeah,
But I don't know about like the ones in the U.S. But Dubai is like they got too much crazy stuff over there.
for sure. I was
Yeah.
like semi trolling saying Alpha Land, so we don't have to go into like too much detail there. But yeah, I would say that's everything of while you're actually on vacation. Um, One thing that I think probably most people, I feel like a lot of people will prep for their vacation. I feel like some people will be mindful of their choices while they're on vacation. I don't feel like that many people have a plan in place for when they come back from vacation.
Mm.
Did you?
Yeah, I did have a plan.
Okay.
You want me to tell you the plan?
Um, I mean, it doesn't have to be like super specific, but like generally, what did you focus on as you came back from vacation? Because you were clearly a skinny little bitch.
Oh no, I was not. Well, I plan on being even more of a skinny bitch when I came back from vacation. So pretty much, I took the day to like kind of relax. I didn't have any groceries, so I did have to eat the first eat out the first day. So it wasn't like the most healthiest. But that day after, I was able
Oh,
to.
Jersey Mike's, bro. They fucking boned me on that order.
Oh
All right,
yeah,
wait,
yeah.
continue, continue.
Random as fuck.
Oh, it
Yeah.
wasn't you just said you had to eat out?
Yeah, but that's like different. Like this is after,
All right,
bro. This is not during the vacation.
oh, my bad.
This is
I misunderstood. That's on me.
this is the day after. So coming back from vacation, you're like trying to get your stuff in order. So I didn't have time to like really go grocery shopping that day. So next day I did, but so that first day I came back, I kind of just ate out like I was saying, and then the second day when I came back, that's when I like decided to go back into keto, and that's when I went out get groceries, was able to cook that day, and my workouts just kind of went. I just went back being going hard, staying hard in the
Stay
workout
hard.
in the workouts.
Bros carrying the boats and the
Yeah.
logs.
The only problem that happened with me going back, I had to move around my days. So I had to do like legs now. My leg day used to be on Tuesdays, but now it's on Mondays. So I had to push that. Like I had to move around my schedule.
Mhm.
So I think that's what people have to focus on, like how they get back on the schedule, depending on if they're doing it themselves or working with a coach. Let them know, or for me, I always prioritize doing legs first during the week. So that's what I did first.
We don't got to get that in
Yeah.
depth. You touched upon exactly what I wanted you to say, so I'm happy that we were kind of telekinetically communicating there. Mindful
Staying hard?
reentry. I'm gonna say it again because mindful reentry. So this is something that a lot of people will end up rebounding pretty nastily. This is something that I'm like going through right now for myself. Um, you work so hard towards a goal, you reach that goal on that like set date. Like for me, it was my powerlifting meet. I was bulking leading up to the meet. And so I was just eating. And I'm on a pretty nasty rebound right now because this whole week I've been like repulsed by food. Like normally I'm always hungry and I'm always eating, but like this week I've eaten so little because mentally I didn't have a plan in place post show for me to avoid this rebound where when we came back from San Diego, like you said, I didn't have any groceries. Um, Unfortunately, that was the day it rained really hard, so I couldn't even go get groceries. So I ended up having to order takeout, which was ended up being an unhealthy decision. And then over the course of the week, my stomach adapted to being lower calories. So I was just gradually less and less hungry as the days were going on. And so obviously I lost like 5 or 6 pounds in not that much time.
Damn, skinny bitch.
Yeah, I went from fat bitch to skinny bitch. And like the thing is, nutrition wise, I've lost weight, but like gym performance wise, like I tried to bench on Friday and that shit did not move the way it moved the day of the meet.
So, well, you're fatigued too, so that's a different story.
Yeah, no, but again, just the point of what I'm trying to say is be mindful of going back to the gym because you most likely won't be moving the same weight that you did before your vacation. Depending on how long your vacation was, what you did when you were there, things like that. But if you train for strength, don't go back thinking you're going to be as strong as you were before. If your goal was aesthetics, don't think you're going to leave this trip with your abs looking as good as when you first got there if you indulged the whole time you were there, right? Like just be cognizant of these things so you don't mentally like just go straight to the other extreme and then you get in a bad spot mentally and then you're more likely to skip the gym, you're more likely to make unhealthy food choices, right? So if you have a plan in place of post trip, that's something that's going to set yourself up for success physically and mentally, because you're going to be disappointed. I guarantee it the first time you go to fucking like PR or something. You ain't going to get it.
Yeah, it just definitely depends person to person and how they know their bodies. Like, when I said I went back hard that first day, my leg day, I didn't hit legs for like 4 days. So I had like so much time for my legs to recover for like the next workout. And then we also, like you said, there was that rainy day on that Sunday. So I had that day. I actually planned out my whole day for when we came back for Sunday to be my rest day. Cause I knew I was just gonna sleep in and such. So rested for one day, and I think everybody should rest like at least one day after wherever they're coming from.
For sure.
Yeah, and then second day get back into it for sure.
And those days you got back into it, did you have at least an idea programming wise? Like I know you said you were going to do legs. Like so you knew generally programming wise, but did you know like I'm going to do what I always do on leg day, but I know I'm going to do a little less weight, or did you intentionally do different exercises?
No, well, definitely I just was gonna go back into it like how I usually have it. Like I said, my Tuesday just moved back, so I already knew what I was gonna do, and I felt great too. Like that day was a good workout too. So I also go based how I feel. Like let's say I was feeling shitty, and so I would just do like a pretty much like a deload week. Go like RP 6 for everything and like take it easy. Or if I was really tired, like sleepy wise and all that stuff, like body was fatigued, I might have just taken an extra day to rest, and then just have go back to my original schedule, which was like legs on Tuesday.
For sure. No, the only reason I asked that is because I didn't have a plan of like programming because so as you know, I'm back on powerlifting program tomorrow. This week, I've taken more rest days this week than I think I have in any week since I started working out. But programming wise, I wasn't doing any powerlifting, right? Other than Friday, but that was just kind of a game time decision, right? So it was a last minute decision. I was actually going to play basketball on Friday, but made the decision to bench instead. Tuesday and Wednesday, Tuesday I got a chest pump and Wednesday I got a back pump. But, and I literally said this to Mark on Wednesday night, I didn't go into that workout with any like plan. Like I had no rhyme or reason of what I was doing. I was just there to get a back pump. And when you're chasing a pump is like tomorrow because it never comes, right? So it's the kind of thing where I was just there chasing a pump and I ended up being there for way longer than I should have. I definitely overtrained. Like I didn't anabolically get a single thing out of that workout. Like yeah, it was technically better than if I didn't work out, but it had no value towards any goal that I had. Like it was just an instant gratification of having a pump.
Well, it's definitely different for you because you did do a competition. This is like most people are gonna go on vacation or going on a trip, or not doing a competition, but you came back fatigued from a competition, and then you don't really you're off schedule and stuff like that. Definitely, when I came back from my competition, I didn't really know what to do. I just kind of hit whatever. But then after like a week, I kind of got back to it. Like I'm sure, like if you weren't going back with your powerlifting program, you would probably make a program for yourself eventually.
No, yeah,
Yeah.
but I'm saying I would have been much better off if I had at least like a general guideline of what I wanted to accomplish this week because I mean, one thing I will say that I did take into consideration, but I just didn't know what level it would be. I knew I was going to be sore like after the meet. I knew I was going to be sore and fatigued. I just didn't know
How much?
how much.
Yeah.
So for me, the way I described that fatigue or that soreness, um, it was by no means the sorest I had ever been in one specific area. Like my lower back had been sorer than that. My chest and shoulders have been sore. My legs have been sorer than that. But it was the most overall soreness I've ever had. Like it felt like I did.
A Leo full body workout.
I was gonna say 3 straight days of Leo full body workouts. Oh my own bro, like thank goodness it rained that next day because I had shit I needed to do and I would have been out and about just sitting in a car like doing all that. My lower back would have been screaming.
Your glutes too, right?
You're so obsessed with my glutes and I really don't understand why.
Hey yo.
Bro wants to spot my squats, dude. Help me get that mind muscle connection.
So yeah, I think definitely depends on how fatigued. I would say for sure it shouldn't take, depending on where you're traveling. I think 2 days should be like good enough for
Yeah, tops, bro.
yeah.
Tops.
2 days for anyway, just regular traveling somewhere maybe far. Like you should be able to recover like in 2 days.
And again, ease into it, right? Like if you're like us where you need to work out to get the energy out, you feel weird if you don't work out, maybe just take one day and then the second day like do a light intensity or just do cardio and sit in the sauna or something. You know what I mean? Like do something that's going to help you get back into the swing of things without going too hard that you end up putting yourself prone like high risk of injury.
Yeah, exactly.
Cuz you need to, bro, you need to like stretch and stuff too. Like I mean, you generally need to do it, but especially if you just went on a vacation where you worked out consistently leading up to it and then for a week you didn't, like your muscles are going to be tight, your joints and ligaments and stuff, like everything is going to be tight. So it's something that you're going to need to reintroduce slowly, loosen everything up, and then get back to the point you were before vacation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Ease into it, but definitely got to get that diet on point, get your vitamins on point too, because that also takes effect on your body. Because if people don't do what you said, getting your electrolytes in, or like people eating not too healthy on their trip, they're gonna be deficient on a lot of vitamins when they come back. So and nutrition wise too.
More deficient than they were before the trip, as they
Either
already were deficient.
either
I'm
or.
just kidding.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, all of this kind of ties together into these last two goals. So I would say everything is gonna tie into the positive mindset post trip, right? Like we all get post vacation blues. It's a thing for sure, especially if you work a full-time job, you save up all this money, you go on vacation. It never feels like it lasts long enough,
Mm-hmm.
and then you come home and you're just back into that 9 to 5 grind again, right? Post vacation blues are a thing for sure. I'm not going to like negate that feeling at all. But what we're conveying here is if you have these plans in place, this will allow you to not slip even further, right? Because you're going to be down and then you make an unhealthy choice and you eat an entire pizza. Like that, bad choices compound. You make one bad choice, you say, ah, fuck it, I made one bad choice, I might as well make two bad choices. So now you just ate a whole Jersey Mike sub. And then before you know it, 1 week after the trip, you've gained 15 to 20 pounds and you look worse than you did before you started prepping for the trip.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
it's mindset.
definitely mindset. Like you should definitely get back into diet. At least diet. I think diet wise should be like priority
Right away.
first. Yeah.
Right away. I wish I did that. I'm such a
Yeah.
fucking idiot for not doing that.
Yeah. I mean, we also weren't on a long trip. Like this would be a different story if someone came back from like a month trip and they were eating, God knows who's, what. And, and then they come back like, oh, fuck it, I'm gonna go eat bad still, like the day or two after or the week after your vacation. Like, no, you should definitely start the day up if possible, because like groceries, stuff like that. Second day, the latest.
Yeah, I mean, again, for me, I just didn't have.
Yeah.
I finished all my grocery like most people do. I finished all my groceries before the trip, and then I just didn't have a plan in place of like acquiring more groceries, or I didn't have enough at my apartment to last me until the next time I was able to get groceries. So that was 100% on me.
You know what? I think if anybody's taking time off and adding like, they're doing their PTO and having the schedule beforehand, they should definitely have an extra day to recover. Like that should be mandatory.
Oh yeah, especially with a time difference.
Yeah.
100%. I couldn't agree
Like
more.
you like I know, because I know some people from like my job, or maybe some people like they come back from vacation, they're like, oh, I just came back last night. Like what? Like you should at least like take I would be like, maybe I'll be tired, like no food. I would definitely have no groceries if I came back like the night before and I had to go to work the next day. Like it's rough.
Bro, so when I worked at the company I worked at in Boston, they had a very nice office. Like they had a lot of like office rooms. It was very modern. There was a lot of like couches and stuff around. The reason I share that is because, and I know I wasn't the only person that did this. So when I worked there, I traveled a lot for work. So I was constantly like flying different places, and it was sales. So it was the kind of thing where my metrics were like the activity I was putting in, how many people I was meeting with, things like that. So when you work in sales, um, it's a little harder mentally to take a day off or an additional day off because you get so far behind. There was times where I would fly to Seattle and I would come back from Seattle on a red eye. I would land in Boston at 5 or 6 a.m. I wouldn't start work until 8. I would literally Uber from the airport to my office and I would
Hmm.
take like a 2 hour nap on one of those couches and start working at 8. And when I tell you, those were some of the least productive days of my career because I was just in an absolute fog the entire time. I was sleep deprived, I was dehydrated, I was jet lagged, I thought I was in another time zone.
Hmm.
It was just like the perfect storm of like not being productive.
And I'm sure because of the work trip, they didn't really like let you take a day off after, huh?
No,
Like
I
you could,
didn't take
yeah.
any days off because it was a work trip.
Yeah, so like that's a different story too. Like they kind of just like, oh, you're kind of just gonna be sleep deprived, and you're kind of just screwed like that.
So the good thing about those work trips is I was the only one that went. Like I wasn't going to like conferences or anything. Like I was going out to the territory that I was selling to. So I would pick dates for my trip, and then I would reach out to all of my prospects and clients and say, hey, these are the dates I'm going to be there. So I wasn't really like going out after, right? Like I was just going back to my hotel, smoking, eating, and fucking going to sleep. And then I had meetings all the next day. So luckily for me, it wasn't the kind of thing where I was getting like super crazy, but
Still rough coming back from a red eye and
yeah, exactly.
sleeping like 2-3 hours.
Especially going from Pacific time to Eastern time, that time difference, I was just like,
yeah, that's a nah, man. That sounds horrible.
I was literally the emoji with like the swirly eyes.
Oh yeah. So I think that's all I have to say about the post vacation. How about you?
Yeah, I think the only other thing for post vacation, and this is probably the last thing, set new goals, right? So you just, again, worked so hard to achieve your physique to go on vacation. You were on vacation and enjoyed the benefits of having your physique, what you want it to look like at that exact moment in time based on your realistic goals. You come back from vacation, again, you can go down one of two paths. You can say, I made a bunch of unhealthy choices already. I'm going to keep making unhealthy choices and I'm going to start skipping the gym. You're going to be like me, where I just went to the gym with no rhyme or reason. I was just there doing things. Like, none of what I did really made any sense. And I actually ended up I did shrugs for the first time in however long. I was super fucking sore when I went to bench on Friday, and it 100% affected my performance, right? So that's the kind of thing. If I knew my goals going into that workout, knowing that I was going to bench on Friday, I probably wouldn't have done shrugs. So it's the kind of thing, when you get back from your trip, yeah, take that day to relax, reset, recover, but it's right back to it. The grind don't stop, baby.
Yeah, definitely. You know what? There's 3 ways though, 3 pathways.
Enlighten me.
Third one would be you gotta hop on a cycle. I'm just joking. I'm joking, everybody. Don't do that. Don't do that. But
Bro.
no, I definitely. You know what? I definitely gotta plan your goals, like you said. Like definitely those days that we were saying earlier. If you wanna, you definitely want to take a day to recover or two, and like those days, you really think about your goals for the future.
For sure, because again, when you come back from the trip, if you know you're already working towards something else, then you're much more likely to make the choices that will keep you on track to achieve whatever your new goal is. Um, I I would say that's pretty much everything. Is there anything else you wanted to throw in there?
Nah, man. We talked a lot about vacation, and I think we got it all.
Now I want to go on a vacation, bro.
Another one.
Bro, we all just acknowledged the fact that it was not a vacation for me. I was working the whole time.
Yeah.
I literally worked on Friday.
Yeah, but you had a nice scenery outside, so it was kind of like a vacation for you, man.
But I still worked. Like I called people to try to sell them.
Yeah.
That I went on meetings.
But you
and
can
stuff,
like open the window, smell the beach, down a few blocks. I know. So we're gonna get back to my favorite part of the show. My favorite segment.
Are we gonna intro it?
The sitcom of the week, man.
Oh, we're all gonna make it, bro. That's it.
Yes, sir.
I think I know who it is.
No, you don't. This one is a special one. He just did a competition. He blew the show off, and that guy is Max Taylor.
Bro, what?
Max Taylor, bro. He just did a bodybuilder show, and I think this is perfect because we just talked about a vacation, and that was like a prep. You're leading to a bodybuilding prep, like you said in the beginning of the show. So Max Taylor is the best candidate for this week's sitcom of the week.
I'm a little salty. I thought you were teeing me up.
For what?
You said he just competed in a competition. All this, you say all this. I thought it was gonna be me.
You just did a competition?
Nice, bro. Yeah, well, I think the most impressive thing about Max Taylor,
He's a sick cunt, bro. Natural sick cunt.
he's natty, bro.
Yeah.
He's natty. I mean,
And that
for
mullet, you know?
for anyone to get to that level of shredded, like that body fat level naturally is absurd, especially to be able to retain as much muscle as it takes to win a bodybuilding competition.
Yeah.
So shout out to him. That's fucking awesome.
Yeah, honestly, he didn't really look like he downsized that much from the cut. But he did a good cut.
What
sure. Cut went crazy, bro.
Yeah,
cut went crazy.
What
he got first place at one of the I forgot which one it was. Oh, and then well, let me repeat that because I was kind of away from the mic. One of them he got first place, and I forgot a different one he got like second or third.
I'm interested. Trying to look this up right now. I doubt I'll be able to find it. I'll probably find it afterwards, but I'm interested to know like what his prep starting weight was and what his stage weight was, because you have to lose if you're like a professional bodybuilder will lose like 25 to 30 pounds.
You're definitely gonna have to like watch one of his YouTube videos to like see that. You're probably not gonna just see it on Google search.
This site says he's 5'8", bro. I don't think that's true.
No, he was definitely taller than because we met him. So
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, he was definitely a little bit taller than me.
Shout out Max Taylor, taller than 5'8".
Yeah, he's definitely not 5'8". But yeah, I don't know what weight he started at, but
he took his prep very seriously.
I mean, you can still see like a before and after. Like he still was kind of, of course, he's always like shredded. He's always like a sick cunt, but like he was decently got some weight on him, and he cut down pretty fast and pretty quick.
No, yeah, I mean, he was on that like powerlifting arc for a little bit where he was over 200 pounds, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, definitely.
So most guys when they start, I don't think he would be above like 210. So I'll call him 205. Most guys when they start around 200, 205, they're probably going to cut down to like for whatever reason, I feel like they always end up at 178.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why. Like, I know, like, CG, like, he stepped on stage, I think, 178.0, and he started at, like, 200.
Mm.
But he gave up his natty card in hopes of getting a pro card.
So that could be a little different. Yeah, I feel like Max was probably around like that 170, 180.
Well, I guess the point of me being curious...
you wanted to see like how much he cut, or like if it was like
I would be interested to see if someone natty cutting for a bodybuilding show versus someone not natty cutting for a bodybuilding show. Do they cut the same amount of weight? Because I know if you're not natty, you retain a little more water. So like if you're not natty, are you actually aiming to cut a little more to make up for that? I'd just be interested to see.
You definitely got to watch his vlogs then, because he did document it. So
yeah,
I didn't watch it. I kind of watched a little piece of like one of them, but I didn't watch the full thing.
No, I didn't watch enough to know. That's why I'm like kind of just thinking out loud right now. But yeah, shout out Max Taylor, sick cunt of the week.
Yeah, well, we're gonna see a bunch of influencers next week.
Oh yeah, we'll see him.
Yeah, well,
wait, that's next week.
Yeah, next week's Labor Day.
You're right.
Well, I think it depends, because I saw on the signs how they had to like label like their names alphabetical order. Did you see that? Like the lines?
No.
Yeah, there's like A to like I don't know, like C or whatever, like this line, and
probably
then
A to Z would make sense. Yeah.
A to C. C is in cat, bro.
What about the rest of the alphabet?
No, they had like sections, like a line, like this line's A to C, this line's D to whatever.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like that, for example.
I got you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we'll see him all. Smoke a joint with Giordani.
Yeah, well, I think it just depends on what time we, time-wise, when we get there and shit.
Yeah.
And then how long those lines are. Cause,
I was going to say, there's some lines that are obviously going to be a little longer than others.
I wonder who's going to have the short line. Ooh.
I don't know. I'm not going to,
imagine
talk shit about anybody, bro. They're on the other side of the fucking line. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but it's kind of interesting to see, like, the popularity of them. I would feel bad if there was, like, one guy and he had nobody in his line.
I feel like I would
feel bad,
in the line just because I felt bad.
Yeah. Anyways, I think that's the end of our show, right?
Yeah, I mean, I always like to ask, very hesitantly. Any last thoughts?
You really did a show? Man, I didn't remember that.
No, I didn't do a show. I did a meet.
Oh, so you didn't do a competition?
Yeah, I did a competition.
Okay, we're good here.
I think you're good here. Well, with that, thanks as always for tuning in. Last week is the exception. We're going to be dropping new episodes every Thursday morning on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. So make sure to like, comment, follow, subscribe. However you're watching today, we appreciate your support. I'm Mike.
And I'm Josh.
Make sure to make sure to keep making those sweet
We're
gains.
so close, dude.
Make those sweet gains. Keep living life unracked, baby. Let's go.
Like the fucking video.